Good morning. Well, it rained last night again. We've had about a half an inch of rain so far. I think it's tapering off, but there's chances for more later today. I don't know. We'll see. So we're not in the fields today. We are doing a little corn drying and hauling and just a few odds and ends and cleaning stuff up. But for today's video, we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into this S780, a little bit more thorough of a walk around. I'm going to show you a few things that are different. I would love to have done a side-by-side, have both combines here and show you the physical differences on them, but they took the 680 as soon as they brought this one, so I didn't really get that opportunity. She's a little dirty and muddy and dusty and whatever, but we'll work around that. For the most part, they're the same machine, but there are some differences. Let's look at them. Okay, so let's just start with what we've got for those of you that may have not seen the last couple of videos, which you should watch them. They're good ones. We have a brand new John Deere S780. This is a model year 21 combine. It has right now somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 hours on it that we've put on in the last 2 days. And man, it's an awesome combine. It's sweet. So this is the second biggest combine in the series. There is a 790, but this is an S780, and then of course John Deere makes their X9 series combines. That's a whole nother style and type of combine. But anyway, it is, I believe, 473 horsepower. It has a 400 bushel grain tank capacity on it. I can look up all kinds of specs and read them to you if you want. Those things are all the same as the 680. The 680 had 473 horsepower and a 400 bushel grain tank. And the size of the machine, physically, horsepower-wise, and all of that, basically identical. So the feeder house and the feed accelerator and the rotor and the threshing elements are all identical between the 680 and the 780, and the 790 for that matter. The discharge beater, the chopper, the spreader is all the same. There is a slight difference in the sieve, in the chafer. Let me open up the chopper here so we can take a look inside the machine. So this is the inside of the combine cleaning shoe. Basically the rotor is up on the top there, and as the grain falls down, it either falls on that pan, which shakes it forward, and then it starts coming back, or there's some augers up there, they call them the shoe augers, that push the grain back, and then it starts to fall down on what we call a pre-cleaner up there, and then this is the chafer, and then down underneath, if I can show you just right, there is another set of these grates and fingers, and that is what we call the sieve. Now the sieve, the one on the bottom down there, is a little bit bigger, longer, I assume, than what's on the 680. But otherwise, pretty much the same thing in here. They have redesigned the vents on the side. The little access door is a little bit different as well. Makes it a little harder to get in here, honestly, but it's okay. These fingers here are a little different at the back end and this cover and stuff. I'm sure we'll learn all about that when it's time to pull these out after fall harvest, so we can clean them up a little bit. So these sensors right here and right here are our grain loss sensors. That's how it's telling how much is coming over the sieve and out the back of the combine. It'll fall down through these fingers, and basically this is an impact plate, and every time something taps on it, it senses that, and it translates that into a reading. So as for the rest of the stuff under here, it all looks pretty darn similar to the other one. In fact, check it out. We got some, maybe, yeah, some fancy lights under there. But the unloading auger chain is the same, the drives are the same, the shielding is the same. There's a little differences here with some of the electrical stuff. Most of this stuff looks the same. Not a lot has changed there. Same goes for this side of the combine. There are a few little minor differences, and here's something that I thought was really nice and cool. So on our old combine, there was a little door on the end of that right there, that bearing and that bearing are the cross augers in the grain tank that push the grain to the other side to the unloading auger. And there always used to be a little clean out door right on the end out here. Well, they've moved them to underneath. They've got a thing on it so I can open them by hand, and the doors are held in there so that you don't lose them, and that's pretty awesome. Like that's a nice little touch that makes a big difference. I pointed this one out the other day when I noticed it. This is the adjustment for the fan speed. So this little electric cylinder here, there's a little electric motor that spins a screw basically that changes the length of this piston, and that will open and close this pulley. It allows it to open and close, which changes the diameter of it. It changes the diameter of the driven one somewhere down in there somewhere on the fan, which then changes the speed of that fan. So that adjustment is just a little bit different. Another major difference on this side of the machine that you guys will notice is this whole assembly right here. And this one looks a little bit different. So this actually is two things. This is the moisture tester that's testing the moisture of the grain. This whole thing is the clean grain elevator. So after the grain falls down through the sieves, it ends up in the bottom, and there's an auger that brings it over to here, and then there's a paddle conveyor in here, a paddle elevator chain, whatever, and it takes it up into the grain tank. And so a little bit of it falls into this moisture tester as it's going by. What also goes on here, right here, is a camera. And there's another one that mounts right here. Those are for the Combine Advisor package, which we did buy and order. However, John Deere doesn't have and can't get any of the cameras to mount on there, so they shipped it without. They will add them when we get it. I have gotten a couple of questions about whether we're using the Combine Advisor feature of this machine, which basically it uses those cameras, one in the clean grain elevator, one in the tailings elevator, to analyze the performance of the machine, the grain tank sample, what's going through the tailings, and it automatically will adjust the settings of the machine to optimize that. So that's what those are for. I haven't been using it yet because I don't have the cameras. When we get the cameras, we'll start using it. I'm guessing that'll be for wheat harvest and not for this fall. But it is something that's really neat and that I am looking forward to being able to use. Everything else under here and up here looks about the same. They did change the faceplate of the feeder house a little bit. This cylinder here was not on the old one, and that is the one that actually tilts it side to side like this. And they had to change that because this one also has a cylinder that tips it forward and backwards, which the old combine did not have. Those are those cylinders right there and then on the other side. So that's a new thing that's a little bit different. I believe everything under here, the transmission and everything, is the same, although when I was looking at it the other day, it does look like there's maybe a little bit more room in there than the old one had. I don't know. Someday we'll have to change shoe auger bearings and we'll find out, but hopefully not for a few years. There is a pretty significant on this end of the combine, a difference on this end of the combine. We got the power fold unloading auger. So this auger, obviously, it bends around and folds back so that it's not sticking out so far behind the machine. Pretty handy, nice to have little thing there, especially when we're working on stuff in the shop here, because if that was straight, it would be through those doors when we have them closed, so we wouldn't be able to pull this far back, and if we weren't pulled back this far, we wouldn't be able to walk around the front of the combine with the corn head on. It's tight fit in here. So that's nice from a storage standpoint. It's also nice for opening fields up and backing into corners and not worrying about your auger hitting a tree or something that you're just not quite aware of. So yeah, we had that on a old combine. On our 9660, we actually had an unloading auger that folded around like that. It was not an option on the 680 when we bought that. They made it an option again in 2015, the year after we bought ours. And so when we bought this combine, it was something that we wanted to get and to add. So we did. So that's nice. The little LED beacon lights there are different than the old one was. So, I mean, I guess that's a difference. This combine is pre-wired for some cameras. One on the unloading auger, one on that little post there with the light, and one in the grain tank. I need to get the cameras so that I can put them on and use them, but the wiring is all there, which is nice. Up here in the engine compartment, most of this stuff is all the same. They've changed some of the stuff with the pump for the DEF system here a little bit. The cap is different. You want me to point that out? I will. They did change these cover panels a little bit. There used to be a hand hole right here to open it, and there's a big gap, and they put a little rubber seal on it and a handle over here, which is, you know, it's a nice little thing. There's the motor. Motor is the same engine as the 6.3. It's 13.5 liter Deere. I hear that they have fixed the head gasket issues that these combines had, so, you know, that's nice. Just looking down in there, everything looks the same. I don't see anything that would make me believe there's any major significant differences on any of this stuff. The front tires are the same as the old combine. I believe the backs are basically the same size. They call these a 750. Well, let me find the size on them here somewhere. They're dirty. 10 minutes in the mud, that's what happens. 750 65 R26. I think the old ones were like a 28L26, a standard size, but I think they're the metric equivalents, and there's not really a whole lot of difference there. The significant differences are all in here. We did add these fancy little grain tank mirrors so that I can see the corners of the grain tank. The beacon lights are different. But the cab is where the most significant noticeable differences are, and it's all this. It's the armrest, the controls. It's, you know, this arm is different. Everything is different here. It's got the Gen 4 screen in it instead of the GS3 command center. We had a 2630 mounted up in the corner here. This screen replaces both the 2630 and the GS3 command center screen. We can put an extend monitor up here just to be able to view more stuff at a time. I will do that. Again, it's not something I can get right now. I want one. They don't have any. So, yeah, there is a fancy little mounting rail here. Maybe we should do that. We got to mount up my radio to this rail here. But yeah, we got foot pegs. Foot pegs are nice. Steering column is all the same otherwise. The seat swivels, somebody noticed that in one of my videos. That's a nice little feature that the old combine did not do. But yeah, other than that, it's the same machine. So I'm sure somebody's wondering if it's so much similar and the same machine, the same size and same horsepower and everything, and nothing's different. Why did we upgrade and why did we buy this combine? Well, simply wear and tear and use. The old combine had 2,600 hours on it. This one is brand new, and while it was still a very capable machine, very functional, works really well, and has a tremendous amount of power and ability to get stuff done, it is also getting worn. There are little minor things that break somewhat frequently on it, and we were just having enough issues. And with us, the size of the operation that we are, we have enough acres that we have to keep moving and be productive, but we only run one combine. If we had two combines, it's not such a big deal if one of them breaks down. When you only have one, it is very important to keep that machine moving when the weather allows and when we can be in the fields. And so those little minor breakdowns and inconveniences and stuff get to be a problem when you have multiple of them throughout the season. And so we like to have a machine that is fairly reliable. And so that's why we upgraded. Something that's newer will be a very good machine for us for a long time. We're not an operation that rolls combines every 2 or 3 years. We're not going to replace this in a year or two. We're going to have this probably for 7 or 8 years. And so that's why at the end of the year, we bring them in, we clean them up, we go through them, we try and take care of them, we try and make sure that we don't have those little breakdowns, and we catch things before they become major problems. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. That's just, there's so much going on the combine like this that you can't expect to catch it all. But should be an awesome, awesome machine. The last combine was great. We got along really, really well with it. I was always impressed with it. It was a very, very good combine. I expect no different out of this one. And some nice little creature comfort and upgrades and technology stuff that should make it a easier combine to run and to use. So anyway, if you have any questions on it specifically, anything that I can answer or show you, let me know. We did get a fair amount of the options on it and stuff. It is a fairly well-equipped combine. Definitely other things that we could have done. You know, I get the tracks question a lot, and why didn't we get tracks? Well, tracks are a $90,000 option. And while this combine by itself as it sits without the head on it already cost more than my house. I didn't need to add another 100 grand on top of that. They're not cheap, and we just don't have the need for them. Now, maybe this fall, with as wet as it is, but we'll be fine. We will get along just fine with the tires. I don't need to spend another $90,000, $100,000 putting tracks on the machine. So we did get the biggest duals that you can get, the 650 duals. I know some people ask sometimes about LSW tires, which is a low sidewall, big single floaters. I'm sure they're fine. We've never run them. We've always run duals. I like the duals, so we stuck with them. I gotta walk out here and check on the dryer, but that's our walk around on the 780, so that's all I'm really gonna film here for you today. I'm sure somebody, well, I already have gotten the question about heads for it as well, and I've explained this a couple of times, but we are gonna keep the same corn head that we've got on it there. There wasn't a lot to gain by upgrading corn heads, so we kept what we have. We are, however, getting a new draper. It's not in yet, and now John Deere's on strike, so we probably won't get it for this fall. I'm sure it's made and just sitting in a lot in Moline, Illinois, and we just won't be able to get it on a truck to get it here, which is fine. There was a period this fall when I didn't think the combine was going to come until the end of October, and I said, I hope we don't get it till we're done so that I don't have to get it dirty. Well, we're past that now, and I'm glad that we've got it because it is very, very nice, and it's going to be a lot more fun to run this fall. So yeah, new draper is coming. Probably wheat harvest is when you guys will see that run for the first time, and we'll go from there. So anyway, like I said, questions, comments, leave them down below. Thanks for watching this one. I appreciate it. If you like the videos, subscribe and hit that thumbs up button for me, please. That really helps my channel out, helps me grow. I'm trying to get to 20,000 subscribers, so please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll see you probably Monday. I doubt we're going to be in the fields tomorrow. There's a chance on Sunday. It depends on if we get any more rain and if we get any sunshine or not. But the weather the early part of next week looks really good. I'm hoping we can get 3 or 4 good days in so we can finish the beans here and get moved to Berkey. That's the plan. But anyway, see you guys.